What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask a CISSP podcast. This is a weekly episode that goes along with the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. This episode is a little bit different, so today won't be an interview. It's more of a Q&A. I'm asked quite frequently how I started my podcast, what tools I use for my podcast, and then basically how do I set up the cadence and find the articles and all that good stuff. So say, you know what, I'm going to start a beginners into kind of intermediate, and then we'll see what goes on from there on how to set up your podcast and just start, right? So this is podcast tips for beginners. With that being said, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If there's a bell involved, hit it so that way you can automatically get our newest, latest, and greatest on YouTube. We're trying to grow our base, so if you can please leave us some feedback or subscribe. We're almost at 400, and we're trying to hit 500 by the end of next month, 1,000 by the end of the year. So the more subscribers we have, the broader our reach. With all of that being said, I definitely want to reiterate that starting a podcast is not hard. It's just a matter of consistency. Whether you're embarking on this journey because you're passionate about becoming a podcaster, or if you just want to connect with more people and your peers, or get your message across, or build that credibility, right? So I have 15 years of IT and networking experience before I pivoted into cybersecurity, and now I have over 6 years of cybersecurity under my belt as well. Masters in cybersecurity and information assurance, as well as certifications. So I have my CISSP, I have my PMP, Security Plus, Net Plus. I had my CCNA and my CEH. I've since let those lapse because I'm moving up the certification tier, trying to get my CCSP and some other certs I'm interested in. But you don't have to be degreed and certified. It's really about the experience. So if you want to share your experience with other people, a podcast is a really good way to do that, and it opens up doors that you'll never believe. So here are some of my tips. First is identifying your niche. So what sets you apart? There are over 3.3 million podcasts out there. Billions of episodes have been created. What sets you apart? What makes you different? What is your unique brand? Everyone can't be Joe Rogan. There probably won't be another Joe Rogan anytime soon. And that's not what I'm going for in my podcast either. It's more about spreading awareness, about helping those trying to break into cybersecurity or bridge the gap between IT and cyber, or just trying to highlight and showcase people of color who have made that jump and made it to the C-suite and senior level positions. My base will probably never be as broad as Joe Rogan's. However, I'm able to reach people, and I'm able to network, help, build community, and all that good stuff. So that's what it's really about. So again, you have to figure out what your specific niche is and then go from there, because no one wants you to be like someone else. They want you to be like yourself. What else goes with that? This is development. So utilize your podcast as a tool to develop your personal brand, as well as your network. Since I've lost both the Other Side of the Firewall as well as Ask a CISSP, it's broadened my connections bar none. So I've been able to sit down and conduct interviews with almost 30 people who are entrepreneurs. They are sometimes serial entrepreneurs, right? They're on their second or third business, as well as authors, and just all around amazing individuals who are helping bring more people into cybersecurity. My niche is that, so I'm looking for those specific people. So people who are trying to get on the show because it's gained in popularity since starting 4 years ago, who are just trying to sell some sort of product that doesn't really fit with my demographic. I usually turn those down, or I ask them specifically, what does this have to do with my demographic? Because it's all about developing my personal brand. It's all about developing my business. So you have to be very specific and thoughtful of how you're going to forge or drive your business forward, and how the podcast is helping you develop your business. So some people start podcasts after they already have the business going. I know a bunch of people who have already started their business, it's already thriving, and they're like, okay, I want to further do business development, and a podcast would be a way to go. Others, like myself, you're starting from just the podcast and you're developing it into something bigger or greater than you initially started. It also opens up doors to projects and collaborations that you may not necessarily have even known were opportunities. So by having your voice out there, right? So I have hundreds of hours of me speaking about specific topics that I find interesting or that I have experience within or that I see on the horizon and I kind of want to talk about it and explore it with other people who are currently in that particular sector. It's opened up doors. I've had the opportunity to speak to people I normally wouldn't have a chance to speak to. I've had the opportunity to do collaborations and projects and also do some public speaking engagements as well as panelists. A podcast will definitely open up doors for you. The next tip would be scheduling and consistency. So a big part of this is consistency. Scheduling, everybody's going to do it differently. Like you can start monthly. We started weekly. So we had one episode that was roughly an hour and a half every week. And then we noticed after looking at analytics, it's very hard to keep people's attention from topic to topic to topic, especially when you're dealing with something that's as nuanced as cybersecurity, right? We're not talking about more generic topics that hold everyone's individual attention spans. What we did was we decided to break our topics into small portions, 15 minutes apiece for topic 1 and topic 2, 30 minutes max for the third, which will be the discussion, and then the interview will be 45 minutes up to an hour. Sometimes we exceed that. And then the Friday episode was going to be the everything else. We talk about movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So we provide a variety of different material for different people. So again, Monday and Tuesday are topics. They run 15 minutes or less. Wednesday is a discussion. So that's usually about 30 minutes. And we usually go into something deeper, like there's huge breach that may have happened during the week, or it could be a topic about diversity and inclusion and how people are either getting into cyber or getting kicked out of cyber in some regard. So the discussion could be taken in multiple different ways. And then again, Thursday is the interview portion. So that's where I'm sitting down talking to someone who's trying to either break into cybersecurity or someone who is trying to give a hand up or is providing some kind of services or things of that nature to help people to join the cybersecurity career field. And then Fridays is everything else. So that's our time to unwind. So that episode usually runs about 45 minutes or a little bit less. And then we're talking about movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So again, it's a variety of different things for different people. So that way we don't try to give you everything in an hour and a half. You can just break it down. So with that being said, consistency. So everyone knows that's our schedule. So people who have subscribed to us have seen it evolve. And they know that, okay, these are the days I'm going to get this type of content. And if for whatever reason I have a gap where I don't have a Thursday episode because I either couldn't find the time to interview somebody, or if just the production of that interview is taking me a little bit longer, I do a Throwback Thursday. So that's me going back into the archives. So we have over 560 episodes because we've been going for 4 years now and producing almost an episode every day, except when we take holidays and things of that nature. So I have a huge archive to go back to and say, okay, here's some material that's either relevant to what's currently going on, or it's something I feel should have gotten more views, but because our fan base has gotten larger over time, maybe we didn't have the people at that time. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back there and share this with them to get more use out of this content that we sat here and created, right? And then again, is the consistency. So the magic number is 7. So 7 is the magic number. And why is 7 the magic number? Because usually podcasts die before number 7. So if you can make it to 7 or more, then you're on track to continue to go. I would suggest doing some batch recording. So that way you can knock out a bunch of episodes at one time, and then whatever your release schedule again could be monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, or daily, then start dropping that content. The next tip is choosing a host for your platform. There's multiple different hosts. I use Megaphone. That's who my host goes through. Provides a ton of analytics. I can definitely dig into the data to figure out what is being watched, how long is being watched, and things of that nature. I started on Anchor, Anchor.fm. So Anchor.fm is part of Spotify. Also a good platform, is free. However, I just wasn't getting enough information from it, and that's why I made the jump. So people use Libsyn or Podbeam, things of that nature. So there's a ton of different hosts out there, but just be mindful that you pick one that will allow you to share it with multiple different podcast platforms. Through Megaphone, we're hitting Apple, we're hitting Spotify, we're hitting Anchor, Breaker, Rebel FM, you name it. We're probably on it. Google, Amazon. So it gets us out there to more people because everybody watches their podcasts in different places. And then, pro tip, I'll put in here. You're going to get an RSS feed from whatever host that you're using. Take that RSS feed, which is just a link to where your show's being pulled from directly, and put it on YouTube. So for almost 4 years, I had no idea about sharing my content with YouTube outside of video. So YouTube was all our video, and as well as LinkedIn, and then everything else was audio everywhere else. What I learned was that over half of podcast listeners listen to their podcast on YouTube and YouTube Music. So once I did that, again, I have 500 plus episodes, me and the crew put together, and it's all being shared on all these audio platforms except for YouTube. And we're getting 1,000 hits here, 2,000 hits there on a good month. I dropped it on YouTube, it exploded because it was like brand new content. So a bunch of people who didn't listen to my podcast anywhere else, we're now, I think on average, I think we're starting to settle because there's a huge spike. We were up to almost 9,000 views over a 28-day period, and I think we've settled into about 6,000 on YouTube, which phenomenal to go from a couple thousand to triple what we had just by adding ourselves to YouTube. So remember, pro tip: take your RSS feed and develop a YouTube channel, and then add that to your channel as a podcast. You'll thank me later. Next tip I want to share is recording and production. Recording is a ongoing battle. We've since landed on Riverside.fm, amazing platform. And they're not paying me to say that. I initially started on Anchor on my phone. And then I, because of distance, I was in Turkey at the time. My co-hosts were in Colorado and California, and there was huge lag. So because of that, I was like, okay, we have to do some kind of video so we can interact with each other, right? You can see body language. There's not a lot of long, pregnant pauses and things I have to edit out. And from that, we developed a procedure where we're going over Zoom. So I had Zoom for Business. We would do a Zoom call. We would record everything on Zoom. I would take that material and I would drop it into a free product called Shotcut. So then Shotcut, I would take it and I would edit the episode, and then I would post it on, again, YouTube for video, LinkedIn in chunks, and then I would obviously take the whole thing and I would then convert it to audio and drop it onto Anchor.fm. A lot of work. Transcripts were kind of all over the place. It took me a long time to produce things. Then this year, I saw a bunch of people were using Riverside.fm. You can use it for free, and you have a watermark, and then you're kind of capped on your time and space. I think I pay about $20 is what the current package is. So this could be dated by the time you see it, and the package could cost more or less. But with that being said, it takes care of my transcription. It allows me to edit all the uhs and ums out to a certain extent. It takes away pregnant pauses, and it's easier to cut up the material, and it does all the transcription. So every now and then I'll have issues where I'm like, okay, this is a word that either I need to pronounce better, or it just can't, like I say CISSP, I used to use a shorthand for it, and it never got it right. But it gets the rest of it fairly accurate. I'd say it's about 90% accurate for our transcripts. It saves me a ton of time. Like what used to take me 30 minutes to an hour to edit an episode, now it takes me 15 to 20. Just knocks it right out. Remember, when you're recording, find a platform such as Riverside that takes a lot of the heavy lift off of you. So the next tip will be repurposing your content. So again, we have a lot of content. I'm going back through now the archives because I was not repurposing it. I would put it on LinkedIn. I would put it on maybe Facebook, and then I would YouTube it out. And we got fairly good response, but since then it's kind of evolved, right? We're more multifaceted, multi-platform. So now I take the episode, I do it all within Riverside.fm. It then splits it into the 16 by 9 that you see on YouTube, the 9 by 6s you'll see on IG, Facebook, and TikTok. So the longer content, right? And then the audio, all within the same platform. I just click the button 3 times, right? I click, I think it's like edit content, click edit content. I tell it what I want the aspect ratio would be. And then I just save, do it again, save, do it again, save. And then it does all the post processing. I take that material and then I place it in all those different platforms. So again, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, IG, TikTok, and then YouTube. And I'm able to make different posts depending on what type of platform it is because it speaks to people differently. The guesswork, all the hard work is already done. I can also break it into clips. The AI will say, here's some suggestions, and they'll knock out a bunch of 1 minute or less clips that I can put on multiple platforms. Or if I have an idea of something I think might be great, I'll either leave myself a note by saying a specific word or what have you, so that way I can jump to that in the transcript, because you can search everything through the transcripts. Again, they're not paying me. But Riverside FM has saved me so much time. And then I'm able to just go through, pick that out, and then chop it up to be the type of content I need. And then I take the transcript, because it transcripts all of the episodes for the tier that I pay for. And I use ChatGPT to help me write posts that have SEO optimization, as well as kind of speak to people depending on their specific platform, right? The verbiage will be different between Facebook, between IG, and TikTok. They have different character limits. They have different ways people like to ingest their information or entice them to look at that information. And then I also generate articles out of it. So I'll write a short article. I will then put it in the chat GPT to help me rewrite and reformat it. And I'll tell it to look at the transcript that I dropped in there as well and make it more robust. So it's pulling out quotes and things of that nature depending on what I wrote. And then I go through, because you still need a human editor, but what would take people hours to do, and I'd say that's the best thing ever, but for me, not having to sit there for an hour or two crafting an article, and instead I click a button and it's done within a minute and 30 seconds. All I have to do is edit. Amazing. So I take all that material and I push it to as many places as possible to gain people's attention, so they're enticed to come look at the material. So again, I make articles for LinkedIn as well as for Medium, because a lot of people use LinkedIn for business. They read articles and things of that nature. But if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you won't be able to access the material. It'll be behind kind of, not a paywall, but behind LinkedIn's specific gateway. I also share the same to Medium. And then Medium allows me to import that article directly over. And then obviously I have to make some tweaks for formatting because they have different formats. Again, saves me a ton of time, and I'm generating an article a day to go with the video a day to go with the audio that's available. So I'm knocking out multiple things. And within that article, because you don't want to pull people off a platform, like I don't want to say, hey, you're looking at this on LinkedIn, but check out my YouTube video. I embed the video on that platform. So you'll have the article, the embedded video, the embedded audio, and then links to whatever I'm currently talking about, wherever I got the source material from and things of that nature, in order to keep people on platform as much as possible. And then the platform's algorithm will be more likely to share your material because you're not pulling them off platform. Repurposing content is humongous. And then you can always dig back to the archives later on, which I plan on doing to help you perhaps make future content or even write a book or something like that, because you'll be able to make correlations. Like, okay, I remember talking to this person about this thing, but do I want to watch this hour and a half video that we made and take notes, or do I want to ask my chatbot of choice, like, hey, in this specific let's say this specific video, or this transcript I should say, what did we talk about? What are the key takeaways? What are some quotes I can pull out here? It's going to be great. I cannot wait. The next tip is engagement and community building. So again, you're trying to build a community here. The broader your base, the more your content will be shared amongst other people, because they have friends and friends of friends and second and third order effects from there. So you don't know quite who you may reach because of this, but it's always engaging. It's always cool to see, like, oh, okay, yeah, a friend of mine shared this with me, and I want to talk to you about your podcast, or I have questions about how you got your CISSP, or I don't know where to jump into cybersecurity because it's so broad. Like, you're in the GRC space, so that's governance, risk, and compliance, right? Maybe I want to be a pen tester, so on and so forth. Do you know somebody? The networking is great. It's all through engagement. Like, it's no point in generating the content and then no one engages with it. So the more people get to see it, the more likes and smileys and words of affirmation or critiques, because those are important too, you'll receive, and that helps you to kind of shape your content as well as gets to be seen by more eyes. So definitely engage with your community, build a Facebook page, build a LinkedIn group, like build these things so that way people will be able to know where to go for your content and then be able to share it and talk about it. All right, next up is incorporating multimedia. So I kind of already spoke about that. I got ahead of myself. So I like to put everything into one-stop shop once it's all done, right? I like the LinkedIn or Medium article or newsletter, because we have a newsletter now that has over 1,200 subs. Probably by the time you see this, it's close to 1,200 right now. It is about incorporating your multimedia and to get it out there. So you're taking your videos, you're taking your audio, you're taking all these things and you're placing them or embedding them within your LinkedIn posts, within your LinkedIn articles, within your LinkedIn newsletter, right? All these things serve different purposes or seen by different eyes, but you want to take all your content and you want to get it onto as many things as possible. So embedding your material into platform specific places. So like I share the full material on Facebook and IG as well. And that might be one less click I get on YouTube. Ultimately, I want to build on my YouTube. But what it does do is it gets more exposure. People are able to see it in different places. Everyone's not on the platform that you choose to share it on. You don't want, again, to pull people off of platform because the algorithm will kill you. So what you want to do is you want to share it to the places where it makes sense. After a while and I build a bigger fan base, like YouTube will start to keep the lights on because now it's being seen by more people. There's more watch hours and things of that nature. You have to hit 4,000 watch hours in a year and you have to hit 1,000 subs. And then YouTube will start paying you. Other platforms that pay you, Meta. So Meta pays you for Facebook. If you keep people on Facebook, so you drop your video in there because you can drop a full hour long or more video on Facebook. And if you keep people there, they'll pay you. Who else will pay? TikTok will pay. So as long as TikTok still exists, because again, I'm a cybersecurity guy, that's getting shut down or divested in the near future. But regardless of if they exist or if they get sold off or what have you, they're currently a platform that also pays. So these are different places you can put your material to not only pull people in, get them engaged, build your community, but at some point it'll start to pay for itself. So think about that. All right, up next, the tip that I find to be the most important right now is leveraging technology. Everybody's talking about AI. AI is a big buzzword. Utilize it. Like, even if you don't care for AI, you're like, AI is not this, it's not that, it's just glorified Google. It will save you time. So I was doing all my own editing. I was doing all my own transcription. I was writing my own posts. Like, this is taking away my nights. It's taking away my weekends. And what I decided to do was I'm going to experiment with ChatGPT. I paid the $20 for the pro version. Your minds will vary depending on if it still costs that when you hear this or if there's new plans. Because I know ChatGPT 4.0, the O standing for Omni channel, is already out in the wild, and it actually does do a lot of what I was paying for from ChatGPT 4. With that being said, utilize it. So write something poorly. I don't care how you write it, but you write something, feed it to your chatbot, tell it to rewrite it, make it better, and then you take those results and you craft on those. Stop wasting your time sitting there for hours crafting the perfect message. You have tools at your disposal. ChatGPT and all the other AI platforms are not here to replace you as a human being. They still need you to be the sculptor. It's a better chisel. Use it. Utilize it. I'm telling you, it will save you so much time. Like thumbnails that would take me hours to make because thumbnails will pull people in. People like to see faces of other human beings. They like to see action. They like to see colors. There's a whole psychology behind it. Feed it to ChatGPT or whomever. I use ChatGPT, that's why I keep dropping them. They're not paying me for this. Feed it to your chatbot of choice. Tell it specifically what you want. Say, hey, I want a thumbnail that is, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's a 10 by 80 by 1290 or something like that. Whatever the YouTube, like Google it, whatever the YouTube thumbnail size is. Tell it I want a thumbnail with these dimensions and I want it to be about this type of imagery or colors or whatever. It will spit out something better than you ever would have thought of initially, and then you can craft on it. You can say, hey, no, I like this, change this color, things of that nature. Then take that material and either use it the way it is or because they seem to be kind of dyslexic, so words are never good on those things. I always tell you not to put words on it. I take that material, I put it into Canva, and then I put my own personal branding on it. So I just want the image from ChatGPT. I take it to Canva. Canva also has AI tools, same as Photoshop, where you can tell the AI like, hey, remove this, hey, extend this, hey, adjust this. And then you drop your own branding on it, boom, you got a thumbnail that will catch people's attention. I love it. I'm never going back. All right. Next tip, monetization and growth. Explore different options, right? I personally am very mindful of who I allow on the show as well as what they are allowed to share on the show. I want to make sure that whatever marketed or shared or it provides value to my listeners. I don't want to sell boxers and vapes and things of that nature. Like that doesn't have anything to do with either my demographic or my niche, and it's all about their trust and my integrity. So if you're in the community and you're doing a lot of stuff that involves free training and things of that nature, I would love to share you. If you are building training that is really good, you're offering certifications, courses, development, mentorship, I'm all about that type of stuff. Even a book, if that book has something to do with my demographic, or another podcast or whatever, it needs to give value to the community. So explore that. Figure out what works for you and your brand and the community, whether it be affiliate links, sponsorships, or potential like podcast marketing. Figure out what you feel comfortable with and that your listeners will feel comfortable with as well, and then go for it. Because at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time creating this content, and it should be able to sustain itself and maybe even pay. So think about it. Figure that equation out for you, and then go forth and conquer. That pretty much wraps up this segment. Again, this is an experiment. I want to see if this kind of content works for the listeners. At least I want to get this off my chest because a lot of people do ask me that question. So now I have something to point them to. It'll be an article that I'll release on LinkedIn as well as Medium. The intent, again, is just to share some of the tips I have for making my own podcast. And then hopefully it'll inspire you to make your own, because we just need more people in this space, especially when it comes to networking and breaking into those C-suite and senior level positions. Thank you again for listening. Definitely check out the other side of the firewall, as well as Ask a CISSP. And then in the future, I also have Ask a PMP. So check out all the things, hit the bell, like, share, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay secure.